Good evening and welcome everybody. You're here with Trevor Quickshot Henry and we're going to be applying for IPL number 5. This is an online Shoutcaster application, and in order to do so we need to play for a demo from LoLrecorder, which is a match between Dignitas and Monomaniac eSports from IPL4. This is the second part of the application process, and the first video will be up on a playlist on my YouTube channel in just a few minutes. But before we waffle and get taken off track, let's open up the demo. Let me jump straight to the game screen, and you'll see game loading up shortly, just as we wait for the demo to load up. For those of you that don't know, LoLrecorder is a third-party application which is used to play pretty much a demo of the game. It records it from a specific player's point of view, and in our case it is Nintendude from Mono, and he's going to be playing Olaf. So really excited to see how this game goes out. Looking at the team of Mono, we have Olaf in the jungle, Leeson up top, Janna Cogmore on the bottom lane, and Morgana in the mid. The opposing side is going to be a Dr. Mundo in the jungle, double AP in the form of Ryze and Vladimir, and a Ashe Soraka combo on that bottom lane. So going back to the old school, going back to see the old Ashe Soraka lane, and it's going to be up against the DPS lane of Bioarcane Barrage Cogmore with the Eye of the Storm shield from Janna, and it's going to be very difficult to see who exactly is going to come out on top. As we are watching from a LoLrecorder demo, you'll notice that we've got some play pause features on the right hand side of the screen. And it will of course allow me to move the demo around, but we're not going to be doing too much of that. I'm going to be focusing on the gameplay. The big problem that we have with doing a LoLrecorder is the fact that we're only going to be able to see the hit points of the champions that Nintendude looks at. You'll notice it as we get a little bit closer to the game. But very aggressive Mono. They're moving up. They see Ryze. Zion Spartan lands his Hadouken, moves in with the resonating strike, but there's no crowd control, no exhaust or snare or anything to pick up that kill. But just that extra bit of vision and a huge amount of aggression from Mono here. This is a 5-man invade. Janna's a little bit late to the party, but she's moving up. Zion throws his resonating strike out. His Q spell, not hitting anybody in the grass, so they're going to camp here for a few seconds. I'm going to see, because of course this is the viewpoint of Nintendude, we don't have all of the benefits we used to when we do spectating in terms of seeing the whole map. Janna, however, is going to reveal a Dr. Mundo. He's probably put a point into his Burning Agony, into his W, and he'll be picking up that Wolf Camp, probably followed by Blue Buff. And even with this huge aggression, nothing coming of it. No one being caught out, no one overstepping their bounds. So Zion and Nintendude, they're going to put some damage down, probably steal these Wraiths. You see Soraka there in the bottom lane. She's moving up to put a ward. So they're going to know about that. Oh, and look at this DPS counters popping up. I'll tell you what I might have to do, guys, as this is, of course, a slightly older demo with a new patched client. I may have to turn off those damage meters. So I think let's do that really quickly. Show HP legacy damage text. There we go. So I put it back just to the original. There we go. It's a little bit better. At least we can keep tabs on. It's a little bit frustrating, but there's not much we can do about that. So Morgana versus Ryze in the middle lane. If Morgana gets that black shield up in time, she's going to be able to mitigate quite a lot of damage from Ryze. And interestingly on the top lane is we're going to see a Leeson versus Vladimir. Zion Spartan taking on Voyboy. And that's going to be very interesting because I think in the early levels, Zion Spartan should be able to put a lot of pressure down onto Vladimir. His transfusion has a pretty high cooldown reduction, or cooldown, and look at this bottom lane at the minute where you have Dr. Mundo invading. He has managed to steal the red buff. He mitigates the dark binding from Morgana. We've lost some vision now, and he's trying to get away from this. Cogmore, Olaf lands his undertow, hits him with the axe, and a red buff auto attack. Cogmore might be able to pick up the last one. Oh, unfortunately, first blood going to Janna. But 4 assists, and that was really good coordination, really good play from Mono. A little bit of lag there from the LoLrecorder, but we'll deal with it. We'll get better with this. Having a look on the bottom lane, on the top lane now, we've got a lot of aggression coming down. Zion Spartan pushing onto Vladimir. And we can assume that there's been quite a lot of damage going down. There we go. There's the HP popped up, both sitting on half. And a Voyboy takes a Q to the face. A resonating strike's going to chunk off a huge amount of damage. Now we've got more aggression on this bottom lane as well now. Janna Cogmore, of course, with that Eye of the Storm, that shield that you just seen around Janna, it prevents a specific amount of damage, and it also increases the attack damage of the champion that is activated on. And with the fact that Janna has both blue buff and red buff, she's going to be able to cast Eye of the Storm every single time. She's going to be throwing out those Howling Gales, and just giving Ashe and Soraka a lot of trouble on that bottom lane. Lee Sin playing super aggressive. Zion Spartan at 3.5 minutes. He's just sitting on Void Boy's turret. Let's see if he's losing any CS from that 16 to the 16 of Vlad. So not really negatively affected, but he's being very brave. Being that far past his river, if Dr. Mundo comes in, he lands a couple of infected cleavers. It's really going to slow somebody down, and it's really going to put a lot of pressure on them. So, Olaf at the minute, we've just hit level 4. We see how we're maxing our levels. We have 1 point into Reckless Swing, 1 into Vicious Strikes, and 2 into Undertow. So that's going to apply that 28% slow. And, of course, if you don't have the red buff, that slow is very important. Some of the recent changes to Olaf, you pick up the axe, you pretty much got it available after you toss it just a second or two. And he's going to be coming up. Double buff Olaf now. Vladimir's going to have to time Sanguine Pool really effectively. He throws out the Tides of Blood. Are we going to die for this? There's an Undertow. Just juked. And Lisa not willing to follow up that Hadouken. Not willing to chase Vladimir under the tower. So a lot of pressure on Vladimir. Oh, Olaf's coming back. No red buff this time around. Undertow does land 1 reckless swing as well. Deciding dive, not dive, dive, not dive. Eventually the decision comes out, no. You could see the a bit of indecision there. Nintendo and Zion Spartan considering it, thinking about it, and opting not to. They don't have the hit points. Oh, landing the Q and an Undertow almost going out as well. Nothing really coming of it. Now we got Morgana coming up to the top as well. So this isn't a 3-man dive. This may be a kill. Oh, beautiful Sanguine Pool from Vladimir. As soon as that Dark Binding was flying across, about to slap him in the face. He drops that W and just completely falls to safety. One of the bugs, or one of the annoying things with LoLrecorder is every time Olaf does recall, just like that, we will get sucked backwards. So I'll do my best to pull us back into the game as quickly as we can. Take a look at the bottom lane now. Have a quick look at farm. Cogmore 31 CS to the 28 of Ashe. Pretty much even Stevens. There are a couple extra creeps on this bottom lane for Zig to pick up though, so you can assume he'll pick up a small lead. And only the 1 kill so far. So nothing out of the ordinary, nothing too exciting. Just a Dr. Mundo being caught out. You can see some aggression now on this Cogmore. Slight delay from LoLrecorder, not showing us exactly what's happening. There's the hit points. So even with a couple of auto attacks to the face and a few bananas there from that Soraka, Cogmore not really taking too much damage. And that festival skin, you can hear those fireworks being thrown out. You can hear those fireworks being chucked out. Having a look at the mid lane right now. Paradoxical against Skara. We haven't looked at their farm either. 34 on Rise to 34 on Morgana, so that's very impressive for Skara. Sitting on his turret, picking up those last hits, especially with Rise without any items, is particularly difficult. Here comes the ghost from Nintendo. He lands the beautiful Undertow, the slow just enough to keep him in range for Cogmore. Gets in range for one last E, one last reckless swing, and Olaf picks up a kill. So that's 1-0-1 now for Olaf, and that's going to be enough gold for him to at least finish off the first part of his Wriggles Lantern. And a few pings now going down on Dragon at 6.5 minutes. That's a little bit brave, but with, of course, the fact that the bottom lane Soraka is not there, they may have been able to push it. Nobody really wants to do that. So that's the ward going down. We've got vision on Dragon, and we'll know if anybody wants to try it. Here's Dr. Mundo showing his face again after that very early first blood. He lost both of his buff, both blue and red buff, and that really puts you behind as a jungler. And then we go coming up to the 7-minute mark. Of course, Ancient Golem and the Ancient Lizard buff respawning every 5 minutes after being taken down. So Nintendo and Paradoxical, they're coming in. There's the Dr. Mundo. There's the Dark Blinding line. Beautiful Dark Blinding. Undertow with the reckless swing in conjunction with the Soul Shackles. More than enough damage to completely melt Dr. Mundo. And that's the 3rd kill. So now we've got a bunch of pings on Dragon. Mono now moving for a very early Dragon. We're going to take us to the 3-man Cogmore opting to stay in lane. Janna leashing all the way back, and now it's reset. So that's a bit of a fail. Going to regen the 200 hit points, and Brolaf in the background going chug. One of the coolest skins from Riot Games. Nintendo taking a lot of damage here, so if they don't pick up the kill with Smite soon enough, he may be in a bit of trouble. Moving back to mitigate this damage now because he's taking a bit more than he should be. No Eye of the Storm from Janna just yet. Finally, Morgana tanking the damage as well, and that's a 7-minute, 42-second Dragon. In the top lane, Lee Sin stealing the big Golem from the double Golems. Coming up from behind Voidboy now, and maybe we'll be able to put some pressure down. He's activated his safeguard, so it's going to block some damage. Landing some auto attacks. There goes the Tempest and the Cripple. Trying to keep the pressure down onto Vladimir, using his Dragon Rage to kick him back. So this might be a kill for Zion. We can't see the hit points just yet. He's followed up with his Resonating Strike. You see the animation there, and here comes the Hemo Plague. Zion Spot now has to fall back. The regen from Vladimir really doing a lot, but that safeguard giving him a huge amount of hit points back. The battle on the top lane still going on, and if Nintendo or Zion Spartan is able to keep putting pressure before Vlad can regen, he may be able to maybe pick up a kill. Opting not to, just going to stick to the farm, and look at that regen from Vladimir. Only got the single amplifying time. He'll be making that a Hextech Revolver soon enough, and look at the damage. He's chunking off 100 to 150 points of health with every transfusion. With level 7, that'll be down to about 5 or so seconds. So, really going to be able to keep himself up and alive and fed. Bottom lane, pressure going down. Lots of farm. Volo going out from Ashe. There's the Frost Arrows activated. Living Artillery from Cogmore as well being shown. You can hear the auto attacks, or you can hear the animation rather. Fireworks going off, and really cool signing. And once again, Dr. Mundo being aggressive here. He's going to eat an undertow to the face. Nope, just steps back before he manages to catch him. Even using a infected cleaver through the wall. That was fantastic. You just seen the little animation and heard the sound effect, that bug splat. Picks up the big wraith, so he gets the experience, he gets the gold for that as well. And really, really good play there to I will dominate on Dr. Mundo. So blue buff is respawned now for Mono eSports. Nintendo's going to pull this and start putting some damage down. So we'll be giving this over to Morgana. This will be her first blue buff. Of course, after the early invade on red buff from Olaf, he was able to delay picking up his blue. And now it's gone to Morgana. So that'll be back up at around 14 minutes 30. Once again, the 5-minute respawn on the Ancient Golem buff. And we got loads of pings going on all over the place at the minute. We had pings on Dragon, we had pings on top, we had pings on the Dr. Mundo. If you were taking a look at the mini-map, you would have seen Janna. She threw up the CV, the Clairvoyance, gave us vision on Dr. Mundo, knew where he was. Now we see him on the top lane, and now we're going for a dive here at the minute. There's the Tempest, Cripple lands as well. Exhaust goes down on Lee Sin, so he's going to save his ultimate. He hasn't used it just yet, but with all the damage from that reckless swing from Olaf in conjunction with the undertow, he's going to be trying to get out of there. One more turret isn't enough to take him down. Shield from Lee Sin, just enough to block some of that damage, and really, really well played. Great coordination, and great game sense by Lee Sin. As soon as he got hit by that exhaust, he didn't throw his Dragon Range, he didn't use his ultimate until it expired. Pressure on this bottom lane now as Ashe is recalled, and look at the damage from Cogmore. A couple of auto attacks, like Bio-Arcane Barrage is really landing hard, just as we get sucked back to the spawning pool. Thanks to the Olaf recall. So 2-0-2 is the score at the minute for Mr. Olaf. Been involved in all 4 kills. And that's really going to start putting him ahead. He's got his Wriggles Lantern complete and a Ruby Crystal already. So that's really going to start helping. Ping's down on Drake. So Janna's moving up to place a ward there. See if it's a pink ward. Maybe it'll be a counter ward. Nope, just a regular one at the moment. Just to keep vision on it. Make sure that when the dragon comes back up, and around about the 13-minute mark, we've got some vision on it. And look at the aggression from Zig on Cogmore. Just activating that Bio-Arcane Barrage and using the bonus range to his advantage. Sitting way back and you know, really hammering onto Ashe Soraka on this bottom lane. Things going down for Olaf at the moment. So he's picked up his red buff now. Allowed just the damage over time there to pick up a small little creep. Ward giving us vision of Dr. Mundo. We got once again aggression on this top lane. Auto attacks coming down from Lee Sin. He's not afraid of Vladimir. Double Dorans, double Null Magic Mantle. So that's very interesting. Really going for that early magic resist. 107 at the moment. And that's why he's not afraid of Vladimir. He can just tank the damage and regen it with his Safeguard Iron Will. Pink ward is down in this bottom group brush for Mono. So that tells us that they've cleared out any ward that Dignitas may have had. And with the ward that they've got a dragon, they see Rise coming. And then Nintendo has managed to sneak up into this lane. So we'll have to see if they're going to allow the lane to push. Cogmore, maybe not getting the memo. He's still shoving his lane. He's still playing aggressive. And Olaf just chilling there. No more vision from the creep, so he's moving up. And this may be another tower dive. This may be Nintendo saying, you know what, I've got the Wriggles. I've got the HP to tank a couple of turret hits. So let's just combine the slow from Undertow, the slow from the red buff. And with Bio-Arcane Barrage, maybe enough to actually pick up a kill. So let's see what happens. There goes the Hawk Shot. gives vision, and unfortunately intended loses about a minute worth of farming. And that's a bit of a problem there, so a little bit frustrating. But he's going to be moving back into his lane now. Going back into the jungle, rather. And carry on farming, picking up as much creep score as he can. Let's have a quick look at the farm. This doesn't look like anything's happening. More pressure on the top lane, and Zion Spartan really hammering Voyboy. He's been sitting at Voyboy's turret for most of this game so far. Not afraid of ganks, not afraid of pressure, and look at that. Actually has more health than a sustained Vladimir. And we have Morgana coming up to the lane as well. So there's the pressure coming down. Zion Spartan moving up. You can hear safeguards up. He'll activate the Iron Will. And if this was a almost dark binding, really great try from Paradoxial. But sadly just being out of range, just missing that Vladimir. If she landed the dark binding, that could have been another kill. 4-0. Mono eSports are ahead in this game and doing really well. Ashe, triple Doran's Blade. Kog'Maw on triple Doran's Pickaxe and Berserker's Greaves as well. So we're really going for those early game advantages. 103 CS to 101. It cannot get more even than that. And all of the vision, all of the wards, they really want to deny this blue buff from Ryze. So many pings, and Ryze has even called up Ashe and Soraka from the bottom lane just to try and steal that. A beautiful dark binding steal. Tormented Soil, reducing the magic resist of that blue buff of the Ancient Golem, and using her Q, throwing out that dark binding, missing the little small creep by millimeters, and picking up that last hit. So great play by Paradoxical there. And that's the second blue buff that's been denied for Ryze. Once Ryze picks up a few items, it's not the end of the world, but of course he does need it in those early levels before he gets his tier maxed out, before he gets a Frozen Heart. And look at this pressure now from Ashe, really aggressive, not afraid to push forward. Infected Cleaver landing, not really doing anything much more from there. And then look at that damage, beautiful knockup into the Q from Lee Sin, and that's a dead Ashe. All of that starting from a brilliant Bioarcane Barrage, and then a Howling Gale from Janna. And now we've got pings in this bottom lane. This is going to be a dive onto Soraka. This one's going to be the 6th kill. If they're going to get us slow, the lane is pushing now as well, so the creeps are going to be up to tank some of the turret damage, and they are pushing. Nintendo, whoop, sorry about that. Nintendo moving up. Huge reckless swing damage, and just managing to dodge the Howling Gale. Soraka still alive, still somehow managing to survive all that. Dr. Mundo had to use his sadism there, get that speed boost and move up. And I think if sadism hadn't, or if Dr. Mundo hadn't been present, they may have continued to dive onto that Soraka. This may result in a tower dive. A tower down, rather. 14.5 minutes, we've seen 2 dragons and 5 kills in favor of Mono. And they're opting not to kill this tower. And I think that's a smart thing to do. They've got a good advantage and a good lead at this point. So don't allow Dignitas to farm safely. Don't give them that freedom of movement, by taking out the turret. So I'm going to keep this lane, almost pausing the lane phase, delaying it for a few minutes longer, just to be able to carry on pushing, carry on taking risks and advantage, or, creating their own advantages. Olaf, 2-0-3, been involved in every single kill on behalf of Mono eSports, and playing really well at the moment. Lee Sin on the top lane. Let's see what he's done with his items. He's already finished his Hex Drinker, and he's finished his Mercury Treads. So those 2 items together, it's really going to give him even more superiority over this Vladimir. He's going to have the sustain from his W from his shield. He's also going to be able to have that extra burst shield. I believe it's 250 hit points shield from magic damage. So he's going to be able to survive a Hemo Plague, going to be able to survive the transfusions. And that looked like just an accidental steal there from Olaf. He's got the blue buff. I think he was trying to give it to Morgana. I don't know if we can see the blue buff timers now. Sadly, we can't see the timers. So I think he was trying to give it to Morgana. Either way, not the end of the world. Following Nintendo now, he's coming into this middle lane. Gonna see if they want a tower dive. Morgana does have her ultimate up. If he lands a good dark binding, it may be the go to attack. Olaf has got the black shield on, so he cannot be slowed, cannot be snared. And a brilliant dark binding and tormented soil there. And almost max range. Now we've got pings on this bottom lane as well. And Mono eSports are just in complete control of this match. 17 minutes, and every time Olaf has showed up in a lane, somebody has died. Barring that first attempted gank in the top lane, of course, but every other time. And look at this now. This is a 3-man pressure. Olaf coming up from behind. He's going to wait for the creeps to get up. There we go. Creep damage. Flash coming out. Using his Ragnarok to get out of the snare. And if Morgana can get a Dark Binding, there's the Q just landing. Manages to get up, Dragon Rage being used, and what would have been enough to pick up the kill. But Wish from Soraka keeping Scar alive, and all of a sudden Zion spots the man in trouble. Black Shield keeping him alive for a little bit longer, but not enough for gets to survive the damage from Burning Agony. Silence going down, as well as Dr. Morgana just taking all that damage from Dr. Mundo and Soraka from behind. Star Calls and the Infuse. So that's 2 kills now from a very, very aggressive dive. But what a brilliant Wish from Soraka. Skara playing Rise was about to die. That Dragon's Rage kick was enough to kill him. But the last second Wish, keeping him alive for a few seconds longer, keeping Morgana under turret range, keeping Morgana taking all that extra damage, and eventually picking up 2 kills back. So that's 6-2 the scoreline right now. And while the lanes are all pushed, while that fight was going down, we did manage to, Mono managed to pick up the bottom lane turret. 137 CS for Morgana to 135 on Rise. You cannot get closer than that. Cogmore and Ashe bang on even. 13 CS the difference. Lee Sin up top, 109 to the 142 of Vladimir. So even though Lee Sin has been doing really, really well in the duel, in the 1v1, by moving around the lane, by trying to gank middle, trying to gank top, and of course by spending all that time focusing on harassment, it does end up meaning he's put behind on farm. So we'll have to see how that converts once we start hitting the team fight stages. Now with the fact that the third dragon will be respawning shortly, and with the fact that one turret is down in their bottom lane, you'll start to see Mono and Dignitas, they'll start to group up, travel in packs, 3s, 4s, maybe even 5s. And it's going to become more about the team fights, more about the presence and, you know, map objectives. So while we wait for Olaf to pick up his buffs and maybe try gank once more, top lane, once again, Zion spot and just not afraid of Voyboy, continually punching him in the head, kicking him around the chops. And aggression, and this is carrying on. This is a huge fight. Unfortunately, we can't see the hit points, but that's Zion spot and Falling Pack, both champions using their potions. And once again, we're going to have another blue buff steal. Dignitas have not had a single one of their blue buffs since the 7-minute mark. And that's the 3rd consecutive steal. And really, really well played on behalf of Mono. There's the Dragon Range coming up from Zion spot. And we can assume that he may have lost that fight. He may have been taking too much damage, because he has obviously thrown that ultimate down and then run all the way back. Great ward placement from Mono means that they know where Ashe is, and Paradoxical's waiting to set this up. If that Dark Binding land is just miffs. That was a very, very close Dark Binding. It could have been a dead Ashe because she did have a Soul Shackles up. She's almost got a Rabadon's Death Cap as well as double Doran's Blades. It's 190 ability power at the 19-minute mark. And that's huge, huge damage. A few pings going down. We've lost sight of Vladimir on the top lane. Zion spawner, he's tanking the turret. He's going in, hitting a creep with a Q. If that had hit, we may have been able to pick up a kill while I'm focusing there. Team fight going down on the bottom lane, and they managed to pick off Ashe without losing a single player. It's a great play by Mono. I didn't even see how that started, but it was a 4-on-4, so coordination damage. The focus on Morgana going down. She used her ultimate, and of course with her passive, she's got that spell vamp. So she want to heal through it at least a little bit, mitigated some of the damage. And we've got pressure on this bottom lane. There's a meat cleaver to the face of Morgana. Some split between Dignitas. They don't know if they want to commit just yet. And I'm not certain if the Ashe Arrow has been used either. And Morgana's being very, very brave here. She's on super, super low life. Other than the Monsoon from Janna, we've got no natural heal. So she's going to throw the Tormented Soil out. Maybe throw the Dark Binding as well. That might be enough to at least pick up some hit points, but she's got to be super, super careful. Everybody's sitting on this Dragon at the minute. Just missing the Dark Binding. Dragon was picked up by Olaf. You could hear it with the sound of that gold, you know, ching, ching, ching in the background. And nicely done. So that's all 4 dragons at the moment. All 3 dragons, rather. 4 Mono eSports. 5 kill advantage and 2 turrets. So they are significantly further ahead when it comes to the gold graphs and the map objectives. And Lee Sin going to be picking up all of this farm. Still 30 CS behind Vladimir, though. And Cogmore with 103, 2 towers and the dragons. He's got an Infinity Edge and triple Doran's Blades, as opposed to the BF Sword on Ashe. So what a difference those map objectives make. Having all that global gold, and of course being involved in 4 of the 7 kills thus far. Really, really well played by Cogmore in that bottom lane. So there's the next timings for Dragon, 26 minutes 40. It's quite nice when the players time it for you. We don't have to think about it or pay much attention. And once again, Zion Spartan he's really not afraid of Vlad. Not stressed, not worried at all. Taking the damage, taking the transfusions and the tides of blood, and just going, you know what? You can't do much to me. He's got his Merc Treads. He's got the Hex Drinker up. And I'm not certain if this is the more of the Mortius patch or not. We'll have to see how the game goes through. This is, of course, a LoLrecorder demo guide. For those of you who have just joined the stream and may not know, my name is Quickshot, and this is my application for IPL5. It's an online shoutcaster competition or talent test, I suppose. And we are recording, we're playing a game, which is Dignitas versus Mono eSports. And because it is LoLrecorder, it does mean that we don't get to see the hit points, and a beautiful dark binding into the tormented soil. Morgana thinking about the soul shackles. There goes the soul shackles. Summoner heal has been used by Vlad. He manages to just survive a few seconds longer. It's not going to be enough to save his life, and before Lee Sin can even get there, he gets blown up. Janna takes a full combo from Rise and barely survives the Ash Arrow thanks to a fantastic Morgana Black Shield. The Burning Agony is Dr. Mundo, and he takes a Dark Binding to the face as well. And now Olaf comes in to join the party. But the Reckless Swing going down. They've turned their attention to Soraka. Soraka's the next casualty in this fight. And look at the hit points on Janna. She's just barely alive, managing to walk away with her life. Tormented Soil and Cogmore managed to pick off the last bits of damage onto that Dr. Mundo. And a beautiful long-range resonating strike from Lee Sin. He flies halfway across the map. He pretends he's Liu Kang and throws the bicycle kick across walls, across gaps. Chases Ash down, but sadly not enough to pick up the kill. So that was a 1-for-3 trade. Managing to pick up Dr. Mundo, Vladimir, and Soraka in exchange for only Lee Sin. And what brilliant concentration and focus from their team. Beautiful combination. Undertow, Dark Binding, and one or two more attacks, and that's it. That's a dead Rise. And that's just clearly lack of vision. That was pretty obvious. Rise was just moving to the river, trying to check out what was happening, and unfortunately being met in the face by a Brolaf axe. Brolaf, of course, one of the legendary skins, one of the coolest ones in the game. With a bit of luck, we might be able to hear him taunt your mom's OP. And that's Baron, 23-minute Baron for Mono eSports, and they are just completely stamping their authority on this game. 11-3 is the kill score. Farm at the minute, 160s across the board for Mono. Vlad, the only champion, slightly ahead, 200 CS. Farm leader at the moment, but he hasn't been involved in any team fights just yet. Olaf has managed to pick up 3 dragons. He's managed to gank almost every single lane. And out of the 11 kills, he's been involved in 9 of them. So, congratulations to Olaf player, then 10 Dude X, coming from Monomaniac eSports, now donating the first red buff. We look at his item build at the moment. Giant's Belt, no Magic Mantle, Cloth Armor, and we've got a good chunk of gold as well, 1,200, so that's going to be converted to Aegis of the Legion. And that is the first blue buff Scar has been able to pick up this game. We've had some brilliant invasions from Morgana and Olaf onto that bottom lane. They've timed that blue buff perfectly. And we've hit the mid-game team fight stage, so now it's all going to come down to coordination and targeting. And whichever team manages to single out the carries and blow them up the fastest will start winning these team fights, because the farm is really even. Let's have a look at the items really quickly. Ashe finally has her Infinity Edge as well. She's a zeal behind Cogmore, so it's not the end of the world, but it's a, you know, it's noticeable. It's crit chance, it's attack speed. Dark Binding, look at the damage onto Locust, and with the tick of that Tormented Soil is dealing huge damage. Zion Spartan moving in with his resonating strike, manages to cash Ashe out and using his safeguard to jump over to the ward just to get him out of the range of Ashe, get out of the range of an Ashe arrow if they were going to throw that. So we'll have to see what happens here at the moment. A 5-man Mono playing very aggressively with Morgana hiding in the wings, just missing that Dark Binding as the creep wave was moving up. They were looking for a kill. And dealing great damage at the moment. It's another turret down. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4 turrets to the 0 of Dignitas. Lee Sin being caught by a rune prism from Rise. Takes a whole chunk of damage, but Dignitas not willing to commit, not willing to blow any of their ultimates to kill Lee Sin. Waiting for a more opportune time. Maybe waiting for the Baron buff to run out. And once again, now Mono just pushing. They're sticking together as 5. They know they've got the advantage. They know they're ahead in gold. And of course, they've got Baron up as well. So they're just going to keep forcing down these turrets. And that's about 10 to 15 seconds. And that's one turret down. That's at the 25-minute mark. Things are looking very, very bleak for Dignitas. Another Rune Prison Overload Spell Flux combo onto Zion Spartan. Takes away a third of his hit points. But with his item build at the moment, he has finished the Maw of Malmortius. He also has a Phage. That might end up being either a Frozen Mallet or maybe even a Trinity Force. We'll have to see how Lee Sin decides to build it. And now they're pushing down the first inhibitor turret. Dignitas are going to have to decide if they want to fight. Skara being caught up by a Dark Binding Tormented Soil. In and amongst all of that, the turret goes down, but a brilliant Hemoplague from Vladimir catches all 5 members of Mono. They force backwards, the Hemoplague pops, but Monsoon is enough to heal them through that. So, no deaths from either party. Morgana still has her Soul Shackles up, she still has her ultimate. And they did get the turret out of that, so really, really well played. Beautiful, beautiful damage. Soul Shackles is used, and Summoner Heal from Ashe. Second brick is able to kill him even through the Wish. The Summoner Heal, through all that damage, Morgana is just hitting like a truck. Death cap completed, and what looks like she's going towards an Abyssal Scepter. Great, great, great play by Paradoxical. And now they're pushing down the inhibitor. With Ashe down, that's the constant DPS not there. They know the Hemoplague's not available. And Rise had to go back for more hit points as well. Compliments of all the damage he took while they were pushing the turret. And what a fantastic Dark Binding from Morgana. One ability changes everything. One ability throws the entire equation out of it. You know, Dignitas had managed to hold off the inhibitor. They managed to save the inhibitor. But just one player being captured, and that was it. They lose the inhibitor. So that's now a recall for Mono eSports. 1200 gold back again on our Olaf. And we'll have to see how the items are, or what items are picked up. Rabadon's and Abyssal Scepter completed for Morgana. She even has enough gold to pick up another Blasting Wand. Kog'Maw finishes his Phantom Dancer. Still got the Triple Dorans in the IE. Frozen Mallet finished for Lee Sin. And things are looking very, very hairy for Dignitas at the moment. Ashe, even though she's stayed on farm, 7 creep score ahead of Kog'Maw. Not having the turrets, not having the dragons, not having the inhibitor, the Baron Nashor, means she's sitting with a dagger. Not even finished his Zeal just yet. I might update the next time we see her, but we'll have to keep a close eye on that. Vladimir going for Ionian Boots of Lucidity. His Wota, and of course the Rylai's. And Dr. Mundo, pretty much a mirror build of our Olaf at the moment. Just 1 or 2 key items behind. The guys are in chat at the moment. This is a demo that we're watching. Dignitas versus Mono. I believe it's from IPL4. And this is my application to be an IPL5 official Shoutcaster. So this is LoLrecorder that we're using, hence the slightly weird hit points or health bars. And while we've got a 4-man Mono invade, Lee Sin is just pushing this tower in the top lane. Olaf using that undertow, tossing out those axes. Picking up, of course, once he picks it up, it does reduce the cooldown so we can throw them out again. Dark Binding being dodged. You could hear, there was no sound effect. We didn't hear that crushing bang of someone being minced alive by a Morgana Dark Binding. And I'm going to have to see Mono committed to this fight, really wanting to take it. The Void Ooze goes out from Kog'Maw, applying the slow. And of course, you apply the slow with the Tormented Soil beneath it. Just increases the duration, increases the number of ticks that you take from that Dark Soil. Kog'Maw using his Living Artillery to his advantage. Really just putting pressure on this top lane, spamming it over and over and over. Dark Binding managing to catch Ashe in the background, being picked off by a Hadouken from Lee Sin. Play going down on Mono, and then all of a sudden things look not so good for Mono eSports. Dr. Mundo getting caught out, trying to commit versus 4, taking too much damage. Bio-Arcane Barrage from Kog'Maw, it chunks off your hit points by, I believe it's 6% of your total health. And Dr. Mundo, who's prioritizing health, is just getting melted by that Kog'Maw. And once again, one Dark Binding onto Ashe, and that's it. She's a goner. Dark Binding with a Tormented Soul beneath her. This is going to be another turret down. Huge Dark Binding there from Morgana. She moves in, pops her Soul Shackles. The knockup from Jan is going to be enough to keep her there. Once again, Summoner Heal and Wish blown. It's still not enough to save Rise. Lee Sin getting away by a sliver of health. Night ticking, it's not going to be enough. And just a lack of DPS, not having Ashe in that fight, not having those arrows coming down. Ghost coming out from Vladimir. He's going to be chasing. Lands a transfusion onto Janna. Ash Arrow flying. Is it going to pick up anybody? No. Great split there from Mono. They managed to survive. And what fantastic aggressive and defensive play. That kill on Rise, just in by the inhibitor. The reason it succeeded, the reason it stuck, was because of the secondary proc from Morgana's Soul Shackles. The knock-up from Janna, keeping Rise in place just long enough for it to tick over, and just long enough for Morgana to actually pick up that kill. 11 kill advantage. Every single turret is down, bar one for Dignitas. Dignitas have a Nexus turret available, and that is it. That's all they have sitting for them. They have 3 exposed inhibitors. 1 inhibitor is down, and now we have some pings onto Baron. Mono eSports are thinking about Baron. They've already had 1. They've already had 4 dragons. And already they want the next one. So let's see what happens at the moment. Dark Binding just missing. You gotta listen for that sound effect. You hear it. It sounds like a train crashing into someone's head. Just being dodged there by Dignitas. And they're definitely on the back foot. They're behind in kills. They're behind in gold. Significantly behind in gold. I think 2,000 to 3,000 across the board at this point, with all the dragons, all the turrets, and of course all the kills. So now we're going to see this Baron going down. Let's keep a close eye on his hit points. 12,000, being chunked down by more than 1,000 hit points a second. Down to half health already in less than 4 or 5 seconds. And now we got a bit of a split. Dr. Mano coming in from the tri-push on top. Vladimir moving in to try put some pressure down, but with Mono knowing that Rise is in the background, they just challenge, stay on it, and keep the pressure going. We did see an infected cleaver coming out from Mundo, but that was a very ambitious steal. The damage on that infectious cleaver is not enough to really secure a kill. You did need a sort of a flash smite, but now we got some pings. There's a fallback coming from Mono. Let's see if they're going to stick to this or not. And there's a dead inhibitor, so that's 2 open inhibitors for Dignitas. Mono just moving up to the 3rd one. And chug from Olaf. 308 on your jungler. There's not a lot more you could ask for that. And just dodging that Dark Binding. If that Dark Binding had landed, there could have been another catch, but they managed to jump straight onto Zion Spartan. He's the focus, and they're going to keep pushing him down. Dragon's Rage used to get rid of Dr. Mundo. Hemoplague is down, along with a Sanguine Pool from Vlad. So Vlad's caught out in and amongst 4. Morgana jumps forward. She uses her Soul Shackles. Managed to pick up the first proc on at least 4 people, but doesn't manage to continue from there. Olaf is just going to start cleaning house right now as Lee Sin jumps in with his Resonating Strike to finish Dr. Mundo. Cogmore with his Bio Arcane is able to pick up Soraka in the background, and this is going to be an ace for the loss of only Morgana. And fantastically well done. Cogmore taken out in the background as well. And what a great team fight. Fantastic focus from Mono eSports, and that's going to be the win for them. GG's called from Dignitas. 33-minute win. And what fantastic play. Nintendo X on Mono eSports, really showing how Jungle Olaf is meant to be played. Really showing just how OP your mom really is. So congratulations to Mono eSports. They take out Dignitas in one of the previous matches for IPL. And hopefully you've enjoyed the cast. My name is Trevor Quickshot Henry. This is a shoutcasting application for IPL5. And I'll be uploading this to YouTube. This was a live recording. I have not seen this game before. And if you guys like it, please give me some thumbs up, some votes, some likes. And hopefully I'll be seeing you guys soon. Good night and goodbye.